What is going on, college basketball fans? Welcome back to another video. Today we have our ACC Big Ten Challenge predictions, and I'm ready to get started. I just want to say subscribe if you guys are new. We do a ton of college basketball content here on the channel and a lot more coming. Earlier today we came out with our college basketball updated power rankings. Tomorrow we're going to have our Big 12 Big East battle predictions, so you don't want to miss that. And starting this Thursday, we're going to have episode 1 of the Danny Hoops podcast that we will be doing every single Thursday night, and it will be posted here on YouTube along with other podcast apps. But yeah, guys, without further ado, let's get into our predictions. All right, so the ACC Big Ten Challenge is going to be going on all week starting tonight as I'm making this video. Minnesota, Virginia Tech will be tonight, and also Pitt, Northwestern will be tonight as well, and then the rest of them will be throughout the week. So let's go ahead and start. We'll just go in order from this graphic, and we'll start with Minnesota, Virginia Tech. This one is tonight, and I'm pretty confident in picking Virginia Tech. I mean, they already beat Penn State earlier in the year, which I think is a lot better than Minnesota in the Big Ten. So I'm going to go ahead and mark Virginia Tech down with a W. They were a tournament team last year, barely snuck in by winning the ACC tournament. I think they're more experienced. They're coming back, and they should be able to pick up a dub pretty easily against Minnesota. I think they're 12-point favorites. I think that's a good line. I think they'll win by around 10 to 12. Next up, we got Syracuse versus Illinois, and Illinois showed a lot of promise in the Continental Tire tournament, so I'm excited to see what they got against this 2-3 defense that we all know Syracuse is iconic for. You got to watch out for Syracuse, though. They do have Joe Girard and Judah Mintz, but they have not been winning very many games this year. They are 3-3 on the year, but that is still a tough game for Illinois. I am going to pick Illinois, especially at home. They're well coached. They're a good team. Terrence Shannon Jr. has been lighting it up, and I got to rock with Illinois. I'm excited to see how Terrence Shannon Jr. does against this 2-3 defense, but I am really excited about Jaden Eaps. I thought Sky Clark was going to be the breakout freshman for this Illinois team, but Jaden Eaps seems to be a beast for them off the bench. Also, Dane Danger, he's going to be key in this game. Get him the ball in the high post, create offense out of that. That's how you break down the 2-3. I think they do that here. Illinois gets the win at home. Then we have Penn State at Clemson, and this one is actually probably going to be one of the better matchups in this challenge. I mean, this is going to be a very close game. Both teams lost pretty close to some good teams. Penn State lost a pretty close one to Virginia Tech. Clemson lost a pretty close one to Iowa. So they've each had a taste of each other's conference already, and I think this is going to be a very, very close game. Clemson's guard, Chase Hunter, he's averaging 16 and 5. I think that he could put up a lot of points in this game, but I think Penn State, they just have a lot of good senior guards, veteran guards, who I think are going to come together and slow down Chase Hunter. And for the third time in a row, I'm taking the home team here in Clemson to pick up the W. Next up, we have Wake Forest at Wisconsin, and this is another one I think could be a really good one. Tyree Appleby for Wake Forest is averaging 18, 5, and 4. He is a stud, but I think Wisconsin defensively has shown me a lot throughout their tournament, where I feel confident taking Wisconsin at home to defeat Wake Forest in this one. Tyler Wall is a huge matchup problem. He's a big guy. He can dribble it to the rack. He's just a big matchup problem, man, and a unicorn-type player. I like Wisconsin to take this one. I think they're the more well-rounded team, a better defensive team, and they hold Tyree Appleby in this Wake Forest offense down to less than 60 points. Wisconsin pulls it out. And probably a close one, though. I'm excited to watch Wake Forest, because if they do pull off this win, it would probably, I think it would be an upset, especially the way Wisconsin played in that tournament, and they're at home. So if Wake Forest can pull off that upset, they'll definitely be on my radar for sure. Next up, we got Ohio State at Duke. Now, Ohio State, they have some really good forwards down there, but Kyle Flipowski has probably been the second best freshman in the country, in my opinion, just behind Brandon Miller at Alabama. And I really like his game. He's only going to improve. And wait till they get Derek Lively and Derek Whitehead going, their other two top freshmen. This team is going to be a problem, but I think the key for Duke in this game is Jeremy Roach. I think Jeremy Roach can have a big game, a lot like he did in the Xavier game, and be able to defeat Ohio State. And I really like the matchups here for Duke. I'm taking Duke again, and so far 5-0 for the home teams. We'll see if that continues right here, because we have Rutgers at Miami. And Miami's definitely probably going to be the favorite going in. The key matchup for this game is got to be Cliff. The key matchup for this game has got to be Cliff Amorie and Norchad Omier. Those two big guys are going to be going at it. And Rutgers kind of has a brand new team. Lost a lot of guys from last year's team, but one guy they are returning is Clifford Amorie, and I think he has a huge game, outplays Norchad Omier, and Rutgers picks up the W. If Miami wins this game, I expect Nigel Pack to come back as the Nigel Pack we all remember from last year's Kansas State team. We need to see that type of Nigel Pack for Miami, and I think that Miami's probably going to be favored. They definitely can win this game, but I'm going to go with Rutgers to pick up a road upset over Miami in this one, because Cliff Amorie specifically. All right, then we got Michigan State at Notre Dame. And Notre Dame, they don't really look as good of a team as last season. I do really like the freshman, J.J. Starling. I think that he has a ton of potential in the future to be a star and even to grow throughout this season. Michigan State, they have an experienced squad. Joey Hauser has been playing amazing. Malik Hall, you name it, man. They've been killing it. But recently, they had a close one against Portland. Is that scare going to be enough where they are heading in on the road to defeat Notre Dame? So Tom Izzo, he's going to have them ready. Michigan State's just so well coached, man. I think Michigan State, matchup-wise with Joey Hauser, Malik Hall, those forwards, I think they're going to be able to have their way with Notre Dame and pick up the win on the road in this one. Next up, we got Pitt at Northwestern. That's the other game that is going to happen tonight. And this one's a stinker. I mean, we don't need to sugarcoat it. These two are matched up together, and they're both pretty terrible. But I am going to go with Northwestern because at least they only lost to Auburn by 1 point, so they have that type of potential, whereas Pitt, whenever they've played their two pretty good teams so far this year in Michigan and West Virginia in their own right, they got blown out by at least 25 in each of those games. So Northwestern, they've shown me more, plus they're the home team. I think they get the dub tonight against Pitt. Pitt just pretty terrible, not going to lie, not going to sugarcoat it. Then we got Maryland at Louisville, and how bad has this Louisville team been this year? I mean, they have been terrible. And Maryland, on the other side, on the flip side, has been a very pleasant surprise there. Kevin Willard, come in, first-year head coach there for the Terps. He is doing an excellent job. Maryland is undefeated. Julian Reese is he might be a star, man. He might be a star. He, on the season, is averaging 15-8 and shooting 80% from the field. He is just dominant. Whenever he puts up a shot, it's most likely going in 4 out of 5 times, statistically. So, I'm taking Maryland to go to Louisville and pick up the W pretty easily in that one. They should be able to defeat Louisville, especially Maryland. Pretty good defensive team. Kevin Willard coach team. So I think they slow down, stop Louisville. We saw what Texas Tech did to Louisville. I think Maryland, not that good defensively, but still a very good defensive team. I don't see Louisville putting up close to 60, probably around the 50s. Then we got Virginia at Michigan, and this is one of the big matchups that whenever these came out, in the preseason, we kind of circled. Like Virginia, Michigan, that's going to be a really good game. They kind of separated a little bit because Virginia is just so far up. If you look at my power rankings earlier, I had Virginia ranked number 2, and that's because they defeated 2 really good teams in Illinois and also Baylor in their tournament and won their tournament preseason. So, or not preseason, in Feast Week. But Virginia, very solid team. They got Gardner, Beekman, you name it. Franklin, they have studs on their team. And I'm excited to see how they throw, if they throw a lot of double teams on Hunter Dickinson, because that's the main threat for Michigan. You got to watch out for Hunter Dickinson. Also, the freshman Jet Howard has been killing it for Michigan as well. And at home, they could get it going. So I'm interested to see if Tony Bennett throws a lot of double teams there at Hunter Dickinson, or if they let Caden Shredrick kind of body him up one-on-one for a little bit and see how he does. Either way, I am going to go with UVA to pick up the win in this one. I think they're going to be too much, even though they are going in on the road. But I do think it will be a closer game than you might think, because Michigan has a solid team. They're a well-coached team by Juwan Howard. I think they could hang in there, but I like Virginia to pick up the W in Ann Arbor. Then we got Georgia Tech at Iowa, and this one's not too hard of a pick for me, even though Iowa just lost to TCU recently, kind of killed their momentum. Chris Murray, Keegan Murray's brother, has been killing it, and a lot of people expected him to break out this season, and he did. He has probably been one of the top breakout players so far this season. He has been killing it. I think Iowa basketball is going to, they're at home against Georgia Tech, not a very good team. I think Iowa wins this one pretty easily here at home. Then we got Purdue at Florida State, and I wish Purdue was going up against somebody a little bit better, especially the way they just dominated West Virginia, Gonzaga, Duke. Now they got to go on the road and play Florida State. This is light work compared to what they just had to go through in the Phil Knight Legacy Tournament. So I think Purdue dominates Florida State. Zach Edey has a big day. You name it. All these guys. Mason Gillis off the bench. Caleb First off the bench. I like these. They're 2 freshman guards, Braden Smith and Fletcher Loyner. They have been all very, very impressive, and I think they all have big days, have some fun, and destroy Florida State, who has been one of the most disappointing teams so far this season. I expected Florida State to have a comeback year. They had a lot of injuries last year, missed the tournament. I was expecting them to come out and play great, but they only have 1 win on the season. They are 1-7, and their only win is against Mercer, and just been terrible. Purdue blows them out. Next up, we got North Carolina at Indiana, UNC heading into Bloomington, and this is going to be a big-time matchup. And I know North Carolina just lost 2 straight to Iowa State and to Alabama. The Alabama one went to 4 overtimes. But I still think this has a big game type feel. I think the environment in Bloomington is still going to be crazy. And we have 2 of the best players, not only at their position, but in the country, going head-to-head in this one. We got Trace Jackson Davis for Indiana going head-to-head with Armando Bacot, and I am super hyped for that matchup. We also got RJ Davis against Xavier Johnson. That's going to be a fun little matchup. You got Caleb Love going up against maybe Race Thompson, guarding each other. This matchup is going to be really fun, and it's definitely the one I'm most excited to watch out of this challenge. And I'm going to go with the upset. Probably not who you think I'm going to go with based on what we've seen so far this season, but I'm going to go with North Carolina, who is going to be considered the underdog in this game, to go into Bloomington and pick up the W. And if they don't, or if they don't play this game close, I'm going to be very worried about North Carolina. I already kind of am. I think they had a really bad game against Iowa State, They didn't play their best against Alabama, which is a good Alabama team, but it still went 4 overtimes. I still think this North Carolina team is very good and has a ton of potential. So I'm going to rock with the Tar Heels. I'm interested to see if maybe Hubert Davis puts in Puff Johnson into the starting lineup and then has Pete Nance come off the bench at center instead of power forward. So then they have a stretch 5 in there. I think it could add, some different type of matchup problems for other teams, especially Indiana. And I like North Carolina to go into Bloomington, pick up the upset victory. I like to take risk. But give me the Tar Heels to win this one. And then after we have, a very hype matchup there at the end, we get probably the worst matchup. You could argue Pitt Northwestern, but Boston College and Nebraska, terrible matchup, but I'm going to go with Boston College. I do think they're a little bit of a better team than Nebraska at least, but I'm going to go with Boston College. So that is going to do it for this one. Here are my ACC Big Ten Challenge predictions, and I took some risk. I like to pick some upsets. Let me know your guys' predictions down below in the comment section, and also subscribe if you guys are new. Drop me a like. And yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching.